Let me phrase the question like this to Andrew. This will kick off discussion. Andrew, just forget about the past hour and 20 minutes. Can you outline like some reasons why you think the patriarchy is good for relationships? And then that will allow Jasmine to, I guess, engage in that.
Yeah, so the patriarchal order is always going to be good. And the reason for this is that there's a descriptive underpinning for objective reality. Now, I'm not talking about morality, but reality. And on the underpinning of the objective morality, you are always going to need enforcement, including at the micro level. Women can't enforce their own rights. So I think it's probably good for us to engage in what is objectively true and stop pretending that egalitarianism is true, because it's not. Women don't really have rights, as Jasmine conceded. Nobody has rights, as Jasmine conceded. All of us are just looking at enforcement, as she conceded. I don't even know what the hell she could possibly argue with at this point.
My argument back. Objective reality right now is that you guys don't have any kind of enforcement to enforce your patriarchal worldview in relationships. So why should we start enforcing that on ourselves?
Oh, but we do. And you have no moral refutation for it.
Okay, Alex just said we're not doing morals.
I'm engaging literally with this on just the descriptive side, right? We still have as many numbers as you do almost. We have the church authority and church institutions, which are almost as powerful as government institutions at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, yes, definitely they are.
Yeah, because not only that, church, for sure.
Yeah, but church is a mass community, which leftists don't have. Leftists do not have mass community anymore. Only churches do.
Okay, do you know, I'm going to, just maybe this is me going into a little bit of lawyer stuff. Do you know that the Supreme Court, what they say actually not only is the rule of law in the states, but the church can't do something that the Supreme Court says they can't do? Did you know that? So my question to you is,
what does that have to do with anything?
That at the highest ranks right now of enforcement, the church—
That's not enforcement.
Okay. Well, unless the churches and all these people that you're saying are going to come and again do the sword fight, my question to you is, right now in modern society, we have the power. We have the institutions. We have no laws. We have no anything that's saying that this is the way that relationships should be. And a lot of people are choosing by their own, they're making their autonomous decision that they don't want to be in this kind of relationship. So why is it good, other than you saying it is objective reality that it's good? And that's objective reality that if men wanted to, they could enforce it. But it's also objective reality right now that the powers are in the institutions. And if you want to overthrow that, you have to overthrow the institutions. So until you can do that, until you can overthrow all our institutions with your little crucible revolution, why should we now listen to you?
Why would it take, I don't even understand. Why would it take a revolution for us to take back institutions?
Well, you were saying that you're trying to rally a group of people.
Yeah, to vote on stuff, right?
Doesn't even necessarily mean a constitution that says that our country is secular, unless you're going to get rid of secularism, which I think if you want to get rid of secularism, you do need a revolution.
She keeps freezing up. I don't even know what she's saying.
Pre-voting.
You have to repeat. You're going to have to repeat.
Sorry, you froze there for a second. We lost like about 20 seconds of that. Can you repeat your whole argument?
You lost what? How much? Like
most of what you said.
20 to 30 seconds back, basically.
Okay, sorry. Let me just.
You're good.
So my argument is, right now, if you want to change things, right, you have to basically change our institutions, and you have to, if you want to really change things outside of secularism, I'm going to predict that you would actually need a revolution to make this country a not secular country. That's my prediction. But outside of that, before you lobby Congress, before the churches do their whatever they're going to do to change our system, right now in 2023, in this system, the objective reality is there is no enforcement. There is no means of enforcement.
There is enforcement.
Okay, where is it? Where is the enforcement that patriarchy is the way that relationships should be?
Well, because it's necessarily a patriarchy because men are the enforcement. So it's a necessary entailment to the claim.
Okay, so again, this is just circular, because I'm saying, like, a woman like me, a young whatever woman is here, and they're like, hey, I'm dating this guy and we don't have a patriarchal relationship. And you go, well, it's self-evident that you do because you just do. Like, is that the argument here? No. I'm asking you why, because clearly, as you know, there are plenty of relationships that aren't patriarchal, unless you're saying that all of them are. Then tell me
what I'm saying is that because what I'm saying specifically is that because society is already a patriarchy, and all societies will always be patriarchies because of the underpinning of enforcement. that my ought claim is because this is true, this should be recognized, right? And it should further be promoted because it creates the most stable foundation because it's based the closest on what is objectively, descriptively true.
So then if it's already just the case and it's true, then you have no problems with the way relationships are today?
No, I didn't say that. Why would that even be an entailment of
Because you
this?
said that it's just naturally patriarchal. The society's naturally patriarchal. Well, clearly our society is saying fuck that, and
Yeah,
we're not
but
doing
there's
that.
there's a
And
there's
you're-
a listen, there's a modality here.
There was one thing in there that actually
Like, do you not
was, like,
understand
the
what a
first time-
modality
the
is? Like,
first
it can
time
be
you
more
actually have
patriarchal,
something
less
to say.
patriarchal.
You said stability. Okay, I'd love to go there because everything else you're saying is bullshit. So stability, you're
Mhm.
saying that that's an argument. You're saying, finally answering the analysis question, maybe that one thing
I've
you could
answered your
tell
questions
people,
100
one thing
times.
you could tell people is, oh,
Mhm.
this is the way we should set up a relationship because it's more stable. What is your evidence as to why those relationships are more stable?
Because all of the enforcement for all of society is coming from the men who necessarily have to protect the woman in the relationship.
Okay, but
So they're a necessary stabilizing force for the relationship, regardless of circumstance. Anywhere you are on planet Earth at any given time is always going to be the men who are the necessary stabilizing force because they have the monopoly on
but
force.
the problem is,
Why do
in
you
our
not get this?
society, the men, you need the majority of men, right? It's not one man. And the
No, we don't
majority
need
of
the
men-
majority of men.
Okay, you need the men right now. They don't agree with you. That's my point. So you haven't gotten
don't
men
have
on
to.
your side.
You don't
Men
need
are
the
saying,
majority of them.
actually, men themselves, they're not on your side. They're like, I don't know.
They don't
Andy.
have to
I'm
be.
kind of
All that
okay.
has to,
I'm
all
okay
that
with my
matters.
woman. I'm okay with this.
I don't know
being
why you
equal.
don't get
You're
this.
saying no, because you could enforce it, but these men right now are enforcing what I say. So if these men are following my ideology, then these men, like you said, men can take away rights from other men, but these men are enforcing my rights, not the one you want. So what is your argument then? Your argument has to be that you have to take over these institutions. That's the only way. Otherwise, what other argument do you have? That's why I was trying to go into stability or something else.
But
Maybe
I've already
it's better
told
for
you.
It'll
I've al-
increase your happiness.
Yeah, but I don't know why you're restating things I've already said. I already told you that getting the institutions would definitely be part and partial for why, or a necessary entailment for how we get more patriarchy, or at least patriarchy instituted in the way I'd like to see it seen, is that we would have to move into the institutions. But do you need all men to do that? Of course not. That's ridiculous. And no more than no more than you would need all women to promote feminism, because most of them didn't. Shut up and let me finish. I've been letting you prattle for hours. Just relax for a second.
For hours too.
So again, very few women actually wanted feminism. It was a very, very small percentage. Most women were against suffrage. And you did not need all the women in order to get suffrage. All you need is to convince enough people that, hey, you actually have the institutional authority the second that you want it. And you don't have to live like this. So it's not actually as difficult as you're making it out to be.
What percentage? So let's say all the women are against this. What percentage and then there's a percentage of men that are on our side and your side. What percentage do you think we need to overthrow our institutions?
So necessarily entailed in the hypothetical, if you say all women are against this, then from a democratic perspective, men couldn't do it, at least not from a voting perspective.
The only reason I was trying to put it in genders is because you think that men have more power than women. So I was saying, okay, let's say fuck all the women. What percentage of men do you need for this to happen? And my second question is, then would it be okay to say that until you make this come to fruition, then we can kind of form our relationships however we want because we have the enforcement?
You don't have the enforcement.
But
men still have the enforcement.
Okay,
Women
but
do not have the enforcement.
The men, I agree with you. I agree that I think that, and there are a lot of men that are also believe in feminist principles. In fact, like I said, most of them. So my point is
most
that
of them do not believe in feminist egalitarianism.
Okay, a lot of relationships right now, the men aren't you. You're not reflective of, I would say, the majority of men. So my question is then, if you're saying that the enforcement,
yeah, but I mean, are you reflective of the majority of women?
How we should center our relationships. If you don't have that at this point from women or men, enough men to make your thing come true, then should we wait until then and then have our relationships?
But we already do have enough men. If you take a look, for instance, at the
Trump, why isn't it working? You're failing,
lady. Why won't you shut up so I can answer your fucking question?
One second. I'm going to give a 10-minute warning before we move on to closing thoughts and call-ins. So just a 10-minute heads up. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, if you look at like what happened with Trump and Trump's election, right, which was a smack in the face against the feminist arm and the left-wing Democrat arm, it was mostly men who voted him in. men do not vote alongside women on many, many, many issues. And as you can clearly see, more men are moving to the right via the trends. Women are moving more to the left. That's true. But as women get married, they tend to vote how their husband votes. Can we convince enough
And we're
men?
getting married less.
Can we now hang on? Can we convince enough men over the next, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, as progressives continuously delete themselves from existence by not having children in order to push towards institutional power? Yes, we can. And we should. And that's exactly what I promote we should do. You can't even replicate yourselves.
Your example was perfect. If the majority of men wanted Trump to win, and they even tried illegally, January 6th, to make it happen, and it still didn't work.
I'm not talking about that on YouTube.
But I'm saying,
then use a different example. Use a king. Use a different example.
Even as men wanted that to happen more so than women did, it didn't work. Trump is not our president, and our democracy as of now is still intact. So my question to you is: you're believing that it's going to change in the future, Mike? Let's stop talking
you're still
about
not understanding the pivotal
right now.
You're still not understanding the pivotal underpinning. This actually makes my point again for me. So again,
you just say that to say that.
If men are not,
I'm fine with it.
If men are not making the enforcement arm on behalf of other men, if they're doing it on behalf of women, it's still men who are doing the enforcement. Still men, essentially, who are making the decisions that women have rights or don't have rights.
Then how come all the men that voted for Trump weren't able to make? Why couldn't Trump? Why did that not work?
Because the enforcement of other men who are part of the institutional power were able to suppress them. Men, it's still men. It's always men.
But even if it's still men, your patriarchy only works if men want the patriarchy.
That's right.
My point.
That's true.
My point is, if in today's society, a lot of men, all of the men I know, don't want your society. They want my society. Why should we have our relationship?
Because absent an ought claim for why I shouldn't do it, we should absolutely be pushing as far and as hard as we possibly can. Shut up and let me answer your question. I listen to all your nonsense prattle, and the second I start to give you an answer, you cut in. So again, I'm going to try to explain this to you again. We should be pushing towards that. Just because it's not a descriptive reality right now that the right wing or that the patriarchal version of men or that the religious men are in institutional power doesn't mean we shouldn't be pushing so that they are. And unless you have a single argument for why we shouldn't do that, then there's nothing you have to argue at all.
My argument as to why we shouldn't do that is I don't think it's going to be best for the well-being of society. And right now, since we have that power, my question to you is right now, before people change it, why we're talking about relationships. Now, if you want to get into politics, and you can say, yeah, you guys should lobby.
Because communists shouldn't have ever lobbied to get rid of communism.
You want even to say that they should invade the Capitol? Go for it. My question is, what actually
nobody said any of this? You're just making shit up.
You don't have the enforcement arm. You currently don't have it. So my question is, if you currently don't have it, should we currently not follow it because there's no enforcement mechanism?
You currently aren't. So what's happening is, as long as male enforcement favors whatever the agenda is that men favor, in this case, if men favor feminism, then that's still the patriarchy giving us feminism. It's not women giving us feminism. It's patriarchy giving us feminism. So we're still at the mercy, no matter what, of the patriarchy is a descriptive reality. Why do you not get this?
Let me try this then. What is a patriarchal relationship to you? And if it's a descriptive reality, then why aren't people living that way? So tell me, what is a patriarchal relationship?
They are trying to live that way. What ends up happening, though, is the rights of women get enforced over the rights of men by other men. We end up with this massive problem called divorce. I don't even think
a lot of rights.
We end up with this massive. Stop talking. Fuck. You just won't shut up. Again, what ends up happening every single time, or at least now it's almost every single time, is this thing we call divorce. Divorce happens nonstop, right? So it's essentially the enforcement arm, right? In this case, patriarchal enforcement arm, right? Who's under the purview of your feminist ideology will go in and enforce your rights for you. We want the patriarchy to enforce the rights of my agenda, not of your agenda.
Okay, I see that. But my question, can you answer the question? What is, because I'm going to try it a different way, because I think you obviously think I'm fucking crazy, and I honestly, truly think
I don't think you're crazy. I just think you're stupid.
My question is, what is a patriarchal relationship? What does that look like to you?
I think it would look the same way it would look to you. It would essentially be men are at the forefront, they're in charge, and they have the most rights over the family and the most duties and responsibility as well.
So even when we're talking about in general dynamics between men and women and rights in the family, a lot of that isn't even legally enforced in the first place. So my question to you is, if we're getting rid of all the legal stuff, why should people?
It is legally enforced.
What do you mean it's legal? Okay. Well,
So
for
let's
you, it
say
might be in the
so
sense
let's
of
say
like,
we have so I'll give you an example. Let's say we have like a patriarchal relationship, right?
Mhm.
Or at least in your purview, what you consider one, I consider one to be. And the woman, like halfway through, they live for 5 years this way, and the chick's like, I don't want to live this way anymore, right? And so
Mhm.
she goes and appeals to secular authority, and secular authority then involves enforcement to dissolve the marriage. It's actually not really a patriarchal relationship at that point, right? This is an enforcement mechanism from
But I
women.
thought you said it was patriarchy.
Well, did you not hear what I just said? I said it's a patriarchal enforcement mechanism. When we're
Okay.
talking about patriarchy, though, we need to see men at the heads of families, at the heads of government, and we need to see
So-
them at the heads of all households. This would
So
be
if
the
men-
top-down patriarchal order.
Okay, so if men say that actually patriarchy to us is that men aren't the leaders and they aren't this, and this is what we want to enforce, is that a version of patriarchy?
So all societies are always going to be operating descriptively under some version of patriarchy. It's unavoidable. This is my
Okay, so
point in
if-
my opening to tell you this, that
So
all
if-
societies.
So if these men are saying that they're making the decisions according to you, but the decision that they're making is that we don't want to be the head of the family, we don't want these kinds of rights taken away or enforced, then isn't it just a reflection of the patriarchy that you're purporting exists, that your values maybe aren't the values of the patriarchy then?
No, it is possible. In this particular case, it not only is it possible, but it happened that over 70 years of feminist propaganda, that the patriarchal system, the adhere to patriarchal system, men actually have forgotten that any time we choose, we can simply take rights away from women. And it's
You
always
think
been the
men
case.
just forgot that it's not that they actually don't?
No, I
think
said that they
right?
were propagandized into it.
Okay,
We
so
know that they were
they're brainwashed.
propagandized, and here I can demonstrate this with proof. We know that they were propagandized into this because you didn't start with these rights, and you didn't get them until recently. And the reason you didn't get them, the reason you didn't get them until recently is because you could not enforce them. So why would men give you rights you can't enforce?
Oh, well, black people only got rights recently.
Yes, men can take rights away from men, and men can give men rights. That's correct.
And that's what I'm saying. Because you're saying the men are the ones who give the right. So if men choosing, is it possible that they're not brainwashed or forgetting? Is it possible that this is a reflection of the patriarchal values that men themselves?
No, this is a value of feminist values and not of patriarchal values.
What if the feminist values, because the
egalitarianism would be the feminist value.
The men are adopting these values, and you're saying that
they're being brainwashed. Yes, there are men who are
patriarchy.
There are some men who are brainwashed into believing egalitarian principles because they're unthinking, just like you.
Not brainwashed, or is it 100% they're brainwashed?
Yes, it's been. I can demonstrate the brainwashing for you over the last 70 years. It's been ongoing and nonstop. What wave of feminism? What wave of feminism are we on now? There's no brainwashing.
I'm not saying there's no brainwashing at all anywhere in society, but I'm saying it's not self-evident, or it's not automatic.
It sure seems to be self-evident, because if you agree with me,
have now as a society, whether it's about race, whether it's about gender, are all a reflection of brainwashing. What if this is what people want, men and women, and we're in a patriarchal society where men are deciding what goes, and men are deciding that what goes is feminist beliefs? What if it's not brainwashing? What if that's just the way that things are, and that's the way men want them to be?
Listen, stop talking. All form of government thought is propaganda. You can see this in communism. Are you saying that communists weren't brainwashing people? Are you saying in North Korea? Stop. Are you saying in North Korea they're not brainwashing people?
Why are you not brainwashing?
Let me finish. Are you saying in every single nation on planet Earth that patriotism's not a form of brainwashing? Feminism's not a form of brainwashing? That from this time that you're a little kid, stop talking. From the time that you're a little kid in school, the fact that you're being leached and feminism is part of the very air that you breathe, and you're told about egalitarianism over and over, that we're all equal over and over. It's completely leached in to society, and you just pretend it doesn't exist.
I'm
The
not
form of patriarchy that I advocate for. I'm almost done, lady. The form of patriarchy that I advocate for is not even workable inside of. Stop talking. I'm almost done.
Really is workable.
Almost done.
I'm
almost done. Then you can talk. The form of patriarchy which I advocate for doesn't even work inside of secularism. By the way, secularism can't. It can't. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, or you wouldn't have a society that can't reproduce.
If that's your only argument, is that okay? Then just wait. Because apparently we're all going to come out of existence, and then when you're dead, then you can.
That's actually the plan. That's the whole. That's the right wing's plan. Is to slowly move towards institutional power as you breed yourself out of existence.
I think we'll just wait, and until then, I think you guys should live your relationships how you want, because as Andrew stated, the men are the ones who are enforcing it, and the men don't agree with Andrew, and the men agree that you should be able. Our country, our founding fathers, not even now, but before, said that divine command in Andrew's belief system isn't the one that they wanted.
Yeah, as opposed to absolutely nothing.
1 minute warning. Go ahead.
As opposed to literally nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Because I honestly feel like he's just basically saying, like, oh, this is just, it's clear brainwashing, but Andrew isn't brainwashing anybody. And that it's been, men actually don't want this. They just don't know any better. And once they see the light, then everything will change. Okay, cool. Let's wait for it. But in the meantime, when we're running shit, when we're running academia, we're running media, we're running fucking everything.
Until you don't
I'm going to
anymore.
live how I see fit. And I implore everybody else to have your relationship the way you see fit.
And in fact, I actually agree that you should, because you're thinking yourselves right out of existence.
Okay.
Your birth rates are dropping so fucking drastically, and so many people are moving over. Only the religious are reproducing.
Put more women into breeding facilities, and then because every generation is thinking more and more like me. Younger people.
That's fine. You're going to end up dying with 5 cats and a bunch of dudes fap to you. Yay!
Producing, you should be able to counter that. If you can reproduce,
we are countering it.
We'll wait it, because right now all the polling says that young Gen Z is even more progressive than millennials and every generation before that.
If they don't breed, what happens?
We're moving. Okay, we'll see. You're saying we're going to go through
if they don't breed, what happens? So you face. I want to let you. I want to let you know where the end of this goes for you guys, right?
Human extinction.
Because you concede that not human extinction. The opposite. It's ideological extinction. Because if you concede that most people tend to follow their parents' morality, they tend to follow their parents' religion, they tend to follow their parents' politics even, right? Then a necessary entailment of the left not breeding, and they're not, and they're going to continue that spiral down, is that you're going to inevitably lose power. And as I sit here and actually explain these things to leftists, explain them, and they see it, you're so ideologically set on a must be whore that you can't even fathom that the next generation, the generation after, are going to literally wink out of existence because you can't sustain yourself.
I have 2 responses, and then I think our minute's up. Number 1, most educated people who do tend to lean liberal are the ones that actually they're actually having more babies than before. It's the poorer people that are having less than before. A. B. What was my second point? I forgot it.
Great. So educated people are going to wink out of existence.
No. Oh, my second point is that you're saying this, but every generation is always more progressive than the generation before that. And this trend has been going and going for a while now. So I don't know why you think it'll reverse or how it will reverse, but I will wait to see that. And hopefully, like you said, I
just have one more question for you.
And we're going to change the whole system. Great. And through the crucible, we'll wait for that to happen.
Do you have I just have one last question for you.
I don't think
I have one last question. One last one.
I mean,
right? Can you give me a single now that I've answered your question? Can you give me stop? Can you give me a single for why men should follow feminism?
Men should follow feminists because feminist ideology and the values that we purport have convinced them through reason, through logic.
Propaganda.
You say it's brainwashing. That's your opinion. I'm saying it's not brainwashing.
You just literally said because propaganda.
Our ideology won in the marketplace of ideas. We won in the marketplace of ideas. We're continuing to win in the marketplace of ideas. And until you can change that, whether through enforcement or through the marketplace of ideas, we're the ones that are running shit. So I think that answers your question.
Right. You ought to do it because that's what's currently being done.
I'm willing to continue, but I also want to
fucking genius. What a genius response.
I like you refuted in your closing statement. Jasmine's gonna go first since you went first. Totally sum up your thoughts. All right, Jazz. So anyway, so this was a fucking heated debate. Very enjoyable. I enjoyed the contention. We're going to get to closing statements now. Then we'll do super chats, and then we'll do some caller ins and stuff like that. Probably go for another 25, 30 minutes, not too long. So Jasmine, closing statements take, I guess, up to 5 minutes. Whatever your thoughts are, final closing thoughts. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like this is derailed so much that it's just gone so many places. I don't even, if to take it back to the original question, are patriarchal relationships healthy for society? Like I said, luckily we live in a society right now where he wants things to change. Right now, they're not changing. It doesn't seem like they're going to change. Like I said, we hold most of the power, and I don't see as new generations are coming up, they're becoming more progressive. They believe in our values more and more. Our values are actually spreading to the rest of the world, actually, even in other like patriarchal societies. Example, my family's from Iran. You're seeing the younger generation in Iran becoming more secular, less religious, and they actually don't have the democracy we have. So they're not able to, at this point, have that reflected in their societies. But we are lucky enough. I am so privileged. I think I'm so grateful every day. I thank the universe all the time that the fact that I was able to be born in a country where we believe in secularism and we believe in freedom, and that we were able to convince enough people, men and women, that this is a better way to live. And I think US is an amazing country. I think we're doing great. He thinks that we're on the verge of extinction. I do not think that. And I think that people should do whatever feels good in their relationships. If you're a traditional woman and you feel really great with your father the father of your children, or your husband having the authority over you, and you want to be the homemaker and they want to go be the breadwinner, have at it. I think that's a beautiful way to live. I also think it's a beautiful way to live to have two people working and to have nobody have more power or authority over the other, to have a partnership. I think that's beautiful too. My point is, my ideology doesn't hinge on everybody else following it when it comes to relationships. I think relationships are very personal. I think relationships, one of the foundational pillars of our country is the right to privacy, is the right that what goes on in people's individual households and their bedrooms and stuff isn't anybody's business. Andrew may disagree. I'm happy to live in a country where we believe in that. So however people want to have their relationships the way they see fit, that isn't harming other people. I don't think they have to worry about future, they have to go to the extent of getting in breeding facilities so that future people can live. I'm personally not too worried about someone like Andrew gaining enough power, whether it's political power or just power of the masses, to actually implement any of his views. And all of the evidence shows me more and more and more, except for beer companies, everything else shows that my ideology is not only what's on top, but it's continuing with future generations. And I think that's all I got to say.
Andrew, you are up.
Yeah, so you saw that Jasmine almost thanked the God that she doesn't believe in to live in the egalitarian nation that is so good that she can't give me a single justification for why you ought to live in one yourself or follow egalitarianism at all. She can't give a single argument for anything. In fact, she never gave a single argument for one thing. She never gave a single argument for her moral oughts. When I turned her hypothetical back around for her to answer it, she said you shouldn't even do that. According to her, there should be no secular, or at least she says women like me, there should be no objection to anything that anybody's doing at any time, anywhere, because she has zero refutation to tell a person why they shouldn't. None, not any, not even a little bit. She couldn't offer anything. It was like stunning, and didn't even understand that she was refuting her own arguments every time that she made one by saying that she has no justification for why you should do that other than her own personal preference. That's the only justification she needs. If that's true, as I rightly pointed out, then whatever my preference is has to be equally as true. She points out, yes, that's true. And it's like, well, then what the fuck is this all about anyway? Clearly, anything that I'm doing and want to impose on any part of society is 100% moral from her perspective, because she can't offer a single argument for why it wouldn't be. Not a single one. And when she does object, she says my objection is hollow because I have no moral argument to give you with the objection. So thing is bad. Why is it bad? Because I don't, because it is. It just is. I don't like murder. Okay, but why shouldn't we murder people? I don't know. I have no idea. Right? This is how dumbasses think. Okay. What you need to do is try to understand that not only that, she couldn't give a refutation to the descriptor of society. She actually agreed with my descriptor for how society works even, right? The whole debate was conceded from the outset, and the only thing she can hang her hat on was, but descriptively right now it's this way, which has nothing to do with anything at all. Why would how it descriptively operates right now have to do with how we want society to look? Has nothing to do with it. Absolutely fucking insane. It was one of the most insane debates I've ever been in because of the unawareness of the opponent as to what she was even saying. But anyway, with that, I'll concede the time, and no hard feelings, right?
Yeah, no,
I appreciate the debate.
Question, but, okay.